demonstrate that you are about elevation of a customer experience, giving them the information they want, talking to them in the channel that they want to engage with you with, making it convenient for them to engage with you. And that whole, I'm going to use every opportunity to wow you with the best experience.
Yes.
At any point that you're engaging with me, and doing that well, then makes it a higher likely that they're going to continue to trust you with their business after the purchase to come to you for service.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of The Drive, Las Vegas edition. I am joined today by Scott Sabo. Scott, what's going on, man?
Hi, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely.
This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have some great conversation, but you know what? I like to kick off all these podcasts with little origin stories, Scott.
Ooh,
because
okay.
I don't think anybody just wakes up one day and goes, I think the automotive industry would be a good industry to be in.
No, you're probably right.
I find it's usually one of three things. Either you're born into the business, you fell into the business,
Sorta,
or
maybe.
you got conned into the business.
A little bit of those two.
Okay, then that's going to be our first talking point today. What is the origin story of how you got started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Okay. So, long story, I'll try and keep it brief. I think I was born a sales guy, but not necessarily in automotive. First sales job was fundraising for Cub Scouts. We sold 55-pound sacks of scrap 2x4s for kindling wood, and I excelled every time we did it. And then worked in retail most of my life. And one of the guys that I worked with in retail went to work for a local RV dealership in the town I live in. So small town of Paulsboro, Washington, at the time happened to have the #1 volume motorhome retailer in the nation. And he pulled and prodded and tried to get me to work there. It was like a commission-only job. Done that before, was really hesitant. Went in and had lunch with him one day, and it was like, phones ringing off the hook, too many customers, not enough sales guys. And it's like, I think maybe I should try this. Yeah. And so that's how I got into the business. And then that progressed into getting them online for the first time and really understanding and putting into play and seeing the benefits of selling online. And at the time, I think this was right around when Al Gore was actually inventing the internet. So not a lot of people actually believed in it.
Thank you, Al, for doing that. We appreciate it.
People didn't believe in it in the time, but it was like I was hooked. And the company, the dealership I worked for at the time, was expanding their locations. My lot traffic fell to the floor. Nobody was coming all the way to Paulsboro to buy an RV for me anymore. And so I took them an offer to build out internet experience and BDC and all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know if that internet's going to turn into anything.
Well, that thing.
I went to work for a technology company in the space for automotive, helping dealers change how they engage with customers online. And 26 years later, I'm still here in technology in the automotive space, putting technology and dealers together to help build a business.
Well, it's one of those industries, man. Once it gets in your blood, it is very difficult to get out.
Impossible to get out. And it's like been the most fun I've ever had. It really, and there's always something new. There's always a new layer of how do we make things better, enhance the experience more, make it easier for customers and dealers to plug into each other, stuff like that. And so where I'm at now is the second startup I'm at, and that's their main thing is like, how do we make it easier for customers to talk to dealers?
Yes, it's all about conversation.
Meaningful conversation.
Right?
Conversation between real people too.
Yes. And real people. Yes, that's true too. Well, let's dive a little bit into your session you have tomorrow. Super cool topic. So everyone out there watching and listening, you want to just kind of give us kind of the outline of what your session is, and let's talk about maybe 3 or 4 key takeaways.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about, kind of managing demand and making it more efficient for dealers and customers to work and work with this demand. So one of the things that we promote is, efficiency. 3 key areas that we talk about is, how to grow demand. Right now it's all about being found on Google, showing up, having a strong reputation, presence that gets the customer to a no-brainer decision. I have to work with this dealership, and how do we facilitate that? So we'll talk a little bit about the strategy and how to social proof, and it's the new word of mouth, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Growing the business and referral business in the auto dealership. If you can do that, you're pretty much set. If you've got a book of business that's coming in and buying from you because they trust you and they believe that you're going to take care of them. And we're kind of modernizing that whole word of mouth and how we get that to transmit to future customers so that we can get more new customers coming to the dealership.
And that's really kind of, look, everybody shops that way anymore, right?
Oh.
We're an entire society now of what I call experienced buyers.
Yep.
So we're looking not only to buy a product, but we're buying the experience that also goes along with that product. And, when we're able to read reviews of real people having real interactions with them, we can picture in our head what that experience is. And we go, that's what I want. Before I even talk about the product or negotiate a price or anything else, that is that person's happiness. That is what I want.
And that group of persons, right? Not just one or two, but hundreds or maybe even thousands, right? To where it just becomes an overwhelming, I should entrust my business here because everybody's talking about how well they are taken care of by this dealer.
It goes way beyond just reviews. I feel like reviews is not even a word I should be using anymore. It is social proof. It is the good, the bad, and the ugly all in one, and so that someone can actually picture, all right, what it's like. Now, the downside is I go there and I don't get it.
Right.
So
that's the risk, right? You have to deliver on the promise.
Exactly. The risk here is you're setting the stage. Now I better show up and expect the concert I want.
And again, the other thing that I'll be talking about is it kind of starts with reviews, right? It captures the interest and says, okay, I think I'll lean in and give these guys a try, or this is where I want to go. We then, because our platform pretty much leverages text as the channel. So the more we can do with text, that's what customers are saying they want to use to communicate with a business. It's easier, it's more convenient, it's makes it quicker to plug into a real person instead of going through the whole tree, the phone tree, all that stuff, and hoping somebody, responds or engages, right? So we then take it from, okay, I want to lean in and start working with you. Now, how can we use text to make that engagement more efficient for the customer, more efficient for the dealership, more real, have a better quality conversation? Yeah. So part of the things that I think dealerships struggle with some of these other communications is that continuity of messaging and working the customer from top of the person, research cycle of top of the funnel and bringing them, nurturing them down into ready to buy, ready to transact. Because nobody wants to nurture them. No. Well, or right? it's too difficult. It's too much work. It's not efficient to nurture them.
The work is definitely an aspect of it. I think the other aspect of it is that we're a society of Amazon buyers.
Yep.
All right. So, even our salespeople in the dealerships just go, well, shouldn't it just immediately happen? Why do I need to nurture something?
Right.
And I think that art of nurturing has been kind of lost, I think, in a lot of dealerships. I think late 90s, early 2000s, all relationship selling was all about nurturing that client to a place of trust so that we can continue to move forward. Now, even the company I work with right now, we oversee tens of thousands of conversations every day. And most of these conversations start with, do you have this in stock? And end with, no, we don't.
Right. Right. It's too easy to just end the conversation there versus, no, we don't, but let's talk to you about options that we have. Let's ask a few questions about, what's more important, getting the right car or having a car by a certain time so I can help guide you into what option is going to be best suiting your needs. To you and me, we've been doing this forever. It seems like obvious and easy questions, but to a lot of people it doesn't.
Well, because it's a training thing. There's a lot of dealerships out there that do a phenomenal job.
100%.
Phenomenal job of training on communication strategy, right? And syntax and language and everything else.
Yep.
I still believe a large majority of the industry does not.
I would agree. And so, we look at that and we look at the mechanism, how to make that conversation easier. We've also got, ways and talk about ideas where if in fact you can't do it well on your own or have the staffing or the time to do it well on your own, there's services that can do that on your behalf, and the services that are out there are very different. One of the partners that we work with, why we chose to work with them is the people they hire to work those conversations on behalf of the dealer have all in dealership experience.
Yes.
They know the questions to ask. They know when to ask the right question, the difficult question to qualify and move that customer along. And so they can actually be that A-team bench, if you will, for the dealership if they don't have, because churn's a problem in the dealership, and it's hard to get a new person up to speed and to that level of performance overnight.
Which I think is an amazing backup plan, but it's not an excuse not to train your staff.
Exactly right.
Like I think backup support is something you always have to have. There's a reason why, professional sports teams don't have just the amount of players they need to play the game.
Yep, absolutely. And then, the other strategy we look at, and kind of the third prong to our solution and platform, is how do you keep customers coming back after the sale? So what's the most effective, efficient way to move a customer that has transacted with you on the sales side and getting them to come back for fixed operations, for scheduled maintenance, ongoing service, accessory, repeat purchase, all that kind of stuff. And so the platform that we have is kind of holistic to that, in that we look at the entire customer life cycle and all the things and the ways that we can impact no matter what customer or what segment of that life cycle they're trying to increase performance on.
So let's talk a little bit about the life cycle. So there's a lot of significant points within the life cycle that I think drastically increases or decreases the probability of retaining that customer.
Yep.
What would you say would be one of the most important ones?
Retaining that customer? Well, it's that whole experience, right? If you flub that first experience, getting them back, getting them to come over to the service department or whatever is going to be significantly more difficult.
So you think the handoff?
I think the handoff, and I think the interaction during that initial engagement. So anything that you can do to demonstrate that you are about elevation of a customer experience, giving them the information they want, talking to them in the channel that they want to engage with you with, making it convenient for them to engage with you, and be sensitive to hours and time of day and responsiveness. Those metrics really don't change.
Yep.
But that whole, I'm going to use every opportunity to wow you with the best experience.
Yes.
At any point that you're engaging with me, and doing that well, then makes it a higher likely that they're going to continue to trust you with their business after the purchase to come to you for service.
Yes.
And whether that experience starts in service or starts in sales, it's that you only get, I always like to use the thing, you only get one chance to make a good first impression.
Yes.
And if you do that well, then you're increasing your chance to get them to follow you and stay with you for subsequent transactions and business that you want to earn of theirs. If you flub it, then it's going to be much harder to keep them coming back, right?
Well, there has to be a value.
Absolutely.
What is the value? What's the identifiable value? And look, it's not a 50% off oil change.
No.
It
a lot of it's time right now.
It's friction.
It is.
If you can remove as much friction out of something as possible, that's fine. In fact, you might even charge me a few bucks more for it, and I'd still be fine with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But that's that Amazon adoption, right?
Yep.
We're looking for the most frictionless possible, a way to do it possible. And we're gonna go on your side of the lane or mine?
Don't hit the car, please. It's a beautiful car. Well, and friction removal is kind of one of the things that we're always looking for within our platform. So part of our success comes from that, just within the review process. So we kind of take and look at how can we make it, so a couple things. How can we make it easier for the dealership to get more of their customers to engage with them, to leave a review and tell others how well of an experience they had?
Yep.
We look to automation, anywhere we can, because again, best practices, you invite the customer to leave a review when you're sitting face to face and you're in the moment, because you're in the heat of that relationship, and that's best. But if you can't for whatever reason, and knowing that you've got a book of customers that is in the thousands, then how can we maybe automate that and take that off of your plate and do that for you, so that the more instantaneous or closely we can connect the invitation to the transaction event, the higher likelihood the customer in the moment is going to want to say positive things about you. We find that when we can do that and get close to 100%, 90 to 98% of those reviews come back 4-star or better.
But to get that, you have to be willing to be intentional with your communication.
Yes.
And that means that you have to communicate for the purpose of a better experience for them, not for yourself.
Yes.
I have deep dive, I have evaluated, I have analyzed thousands of dealerships' communications over my career. And I'd be telling you right now, I would say 75%. 75% of the communications are more for me, not for the consumer.
Yep.
Gimme.
Yep.
Not and you have to identify that out of the gate. Is that this is for you, not for me.
Right. We want to learn to be better so that we can make ourselves more valuable to you. We can provide more convenience.
Yes.
We can provide a better experience, all that kind of stuff. And I think you're exactly right. That messaging to come across that way is also part of the key.
Well, and you also get more honest feedback.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, I want to know that we fell on our face. I 100% want to know that if one of my team members.
Well, and that's
fell
where
on
I
their
think
face.
responsiveness comes in, and why Google looks at response to reviews as part of the metric they use to decide who should get kind of prominence in their listings, right? And that's another area that, we and other vendors can help with, right? So if the store, ideally, you want the store to be able to take on those responses directly themselves, but if for whatever reason they can't, there are services out there that can shoulder that work for them so that the dealer can show up better as being a responsive. I care about all my customers and all their feedback. That goes a long way to helping them shine and demonstrate to future customers that this is a dealership that's really plugged into its consumer population, right?
Hey Scott, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation because we're pulling up to the hotel right now. But before I let you go, for everybody out there that's watching and listening right now, what is the best way to connect with you and maybe continue some of this conversation?
So here at the show, we're in booth 503. Podium.com is our website. I'm the partner manager, so info at podium.com, that kind of stuff can get you plugged into me. We've got myself and a ton of others, but if you're here at the show in Vegas, stop by booth 503. If not, see us at podium.com. I'm out there wherever I can as far as webinars and stuff like that too with Nada, and we'll be at other shows as well. And then you can always call me on my cell, or text, because we love text. 360-930-2014.
Awesome. Scott, thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, Jason. This was a lot of fun. Great to ride with you and visit.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.